Alright, hey guys, this is JJND and welcome to CG Market Watch Live. So today's topic is on traders becoming hodlers. Is that true being in the market right now? So in fact, I was just having a discussion with my team just now that what should be the title today? Is it gonna be BTC forming many triangles? BTC is a pyramid scheme forming multiple triangles. And I think this triangle kind of scenario is happening throughout all the other altcoins as well, as we can see later on when I show you. And it's a very it's a kind of like a phenomenon, okay, that's happening in the market right now. But the question here is, why is it that the volume it's kind of not going up, but the 24 hours volume traded is not going up? But we do see the market cap sustaining at a certain level. In fact, at $218 billion right now. So that is the greatest question. That's the greatest mystery. So let's try and solve it today and go through it together as a team. Okay. So this is of course the coin market cap, right? As always, this is the page that I start with. So we do see that Bitcoin dominance is now at 52.1%. It hardly changed over the past 2 days, right? And we are sustaining still at 52.1%. Market cap is 218 billion, and of course volume right now is about 12 billion every 24 hours. So to me, this volume is kind of low. A few days ago, I remember it was sustaining above 18 billion, and it was even above 20 plus billion. But now it's at 12 billion. So what it kind of entails is we kind of understand that less people are kind of trading Bitcoin per se. Perhaps they're just hodling onto it. Perhaps they are just holding onto it. And a few articles kind of point out what are some of the reasons, why people are still holding on to BTC, because a lot of people believe that, hey, BTC is going to be the next move, right? We are going to see the next movement on the whole cryptocurrency market coming from BTC. Okay, so of course, on Friday, it's a take profit day. Of course, the market won't be doing as well. We do see most tokens are not, being smashed in terms of prices. And of course, there will always be a few that sustains and do better than the rest. So it's the usual in the cryptocurrency market. Okay, so I personally believe perhaps today, which is a Friday, and tomorrow on a Saturday, we won't see much improvement in the market, but maybe perhaps Sunday we may see more things coming up, right? So hodling, does that really work now, or is it trading? All right, so there's a few articles or a few research statistics that I just want to share with you. I realized that, hey, first of all, the total transaction fees paid to the miners are decreasing. So then my greatest question now is the miners earning anything, right? Especially when you mine BTC. So we kind of know that in order for mining BTC as profitable, for it to be profitable, you need to be at least BTC price has to be at least at between $6,800 to about $7,000, right? If I'm not wrong. So in that sense, we kind of, right now the miners are kind of relying on mining it because the difficulty rate is slightly lower in that sense. But the fees are also very, very low, right? So of course the peak was back then in December when BTC went to about 17,000 US dollars. Of course, because of the price being smashed, we see that the transaction cost or fees have went down as well. And just taking a look at the UTXO, which is a number of unspent transaction outputs, right? So it actually marks the beginning and the ending of a transaction. We do see that it's on a slight increase. Okay, so what the trend kind of tells you is that, hey, when BTC price tends to pick up, so does the UTXO. So of course, this particular chart that you can see right here, it's a very typical line graph. Even when you do BTC / US dollars graph, it will look something like that, because this is kind of like a live graph representation of a BTC chart, right? So it just shows you the number of UTXO in that sense, and it also kind of shows you that, hey, perhaps the market is really bottomed out. It has really bottomed out, and we can see it coming up very, very soon. So let's hope so. Fingers crossed, legs crossed, arms crossed, everything's crossed. Let's see, hair crossed. So we'll see what's gonna happen. Now, in fact, I think CCN also published this particular article, and we actually posted out on CG Market Watch Telegram channel, where it's a one-way channel, and we talk about Bitcoin is still at early stage. So if you currently, viewers looking at this, if you kind of just hold, let me just increase the volume. If you kind of just hold 0.28 BTC, you're part of the 1% in the whole world's population. Okay, so the article go on to tell you that, hey, if you own 0.28 and you just hodl, you can be certain no more than 1% of the current world population can ever own more BTC than you. All right, so a modest investment of $1,830 today can ensure you're a 1%er in a Bitcoin world. All right, so imagine that. So if any of you are watching this and you're holding on to 0.28 BTC and above, congratulations, you are in the top 1% in the whole world in the coming future. And of course, we know that halving is going to come in 2020, so it's going to get harder and harder to own one full Bitcoin. And also on top of that, perhaps 4 to 6 million BTCs are estimated to be lost. All right, so in actual fact, the circulating supply right now doesn't take into consideration of the lost BTC. They're just taking into consideration of what's in the market. Okay, so that's something you need to note when I was reading this article. And of course, Fundstrat survey on Cointelegraph mentioned that 54% of institutional players think that Bitcoin's price has already bottomed. So in fact, I think right now, I mean, I've talked about custodian wallet, I've talked about what the banks are doing, I've talked about regulators coming in. And so what is happening right now is that people believe, or institutional traders believe, that we have kind of bottomed out. All right, so we can kind of see that reflecting on BTC price where volume is really weak. There's no one really buying it largely. Okay, so it could also be due to regulators not stepping in yet, or the rules and regulations are not fixed yet. So institutional players are just waiting for that to be done. Everything's set on stage, everything's ready, and therefore they are in. All right, so perhaps they're just setting up all their accounts, wallet, you name it, everything. So we'll think about that. All right, so of course Mike Novogratz and Tom Lee has made a lot of prediction on BTC price. So we'll see where's that gonna go. All right, so it's very hard to predict cryptocurrency market, right? So we'll see. Okay, now so let's go into the charts today. And one of the reasons why I said we have so many triangle formation, it's because we have a lot of symmetrical triangle form, not just on BTC, but we do see it on various charts. All right. So okay, so basically looking at a daily chart for now, right, we do see that this is kind of like a downward channel. RSI, even on RSI itself, you could see that it's kind of forming, let me just draw it quickly. You can kind of see like it's forming a triangle as well. So it's freaking like, you know, BTC just freaking forming triangle everywhere. so that triangle, symmetrical triangle, it's a bilateral kind of direction, meaning you say it can go either ways, right? And that uncertainty in BTC price is reflecting across almost all odds. Okay, almost all, not all, but fundamentally almost all. And I mean, OBV is of course on a dip, right? So the volume is just weak for now. And if we sustain the symmetrical triangle formation or chart pattern for too long, there will definitely be some sell down because volume cannot be sustained in that sense, right? The pressure is built up so much that it has to go in either direction to break out off the particular trend line. So that will happen eventually. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see where it's gonna go. But of course, as of now, Ichimoku based on Kumo Cloud, we can see it being pressured very heavily here. Okay, so the only possibility of BTC breaking out is if we reach around late October, okay, or the third week of October, where we see a possible opportunity for BTC to kind of break upwards. Okay, now of course, because of the Kumo Cloud pressure, it can break downwards as well. So it's really very hard to tell you which direction it can go. But what I've done is on 4 hours, I've just briefly drawn a few resistance and support level that we could look at. So of course, let's start with resistance. We could be looking at 6643 and 6610 for resistance level. And of course, the next immediate support level will be at 6564. So I don't think this level will hold because it keeps breaking below. Of course, support, I'll be looking at 6454. I've mentioned before in our elite group and legacy as well that 6450 level to 65 level will be the kind of first support band or range we will form. We'll see. So if it kind of breaks downwards, then we'll see it heading to a 63 level. Yeah, so hopefully everything cross, we don't go there. All right. Yeah, so this is basically, you can see how a triangle is still in the orange line is kind of like a daily symmetrical triangle. And the yellow is kind of showing you that there's a possible, I mean, you can interpret it in both ways. It can be kind of like a symmetrical triangle as well, based on the yellow lines, or it can be kind of like a descending triangle, showing a continuation of downward trend. All right, so it all depends on how you kind of interpret it. All right, so it could go downwards as well to the orange line, and then after that, once again, we'll see a bounce up. All right, to that particular resistance level. So it really depends on whether the volume will support it or not. All right. As of now, RSI is still sustaining above 50 level, so I guess that's a pretty good point. Okay, so Ethereum wise, like I say, because of BTC's formation, everything else is kind of forming a symmetrical triangle. It's kind of tragic, but even on RSI, once again, you can also see that it's kind of like a symmetrical triangle again. Okay, so as of now, unless BTC makes its move, if not, the odds will have no direction to go as well. So that's just how much impact BTC price have on all the other altcoins. Okay, so naturally for ETH wise, we do see some upside coming through later on for Kumo Cloud. So hopefully we do see something. But of course, it all depends on BTC movement. All right. So that's for ETH, symmetrical triangle once again. All right, for Litecoin, okay, Litecoin's situation is kind of similar. Of course, once again, it's symmetrical triangle. We can see double yellow, okay, which shows the upward channel previously, but it break down from that channel, and therefore we're heading downwards. Once again, depends on it really depends on BTC movement, but what we can see that it's that the cloud kind of thins here, and therefore there's a potential breakout here. We are still trading below the cloud, so that is the bad point of it. All right, so in terms of support wise, we'll be looking at anywhere at about $57 level. If not, if we break downwards even more, we'll be looking at 54 and so on and so forth. All right, so I won't be drawing, I'll just be showing $52 as well. For Ethereum, I personally will only kind of buy into Ethereum if it really dips below $200. Why personally? Because I always feel once it drops below $200, the upward swing will be advantageous to you. Okay, of course, $206 is fine. If not, perhaps 188. This range, it's pretty good levels for Ethereum. Kind of forget it about it heading below 188. If not, we will be in another bearish times. But if not, the range between 188 to 206 is a very good $20 range for you to play with. All right, so that once again all depends on where BTC wants to go next. All right, so I'm kind of excited to kind of see where the symmetrical triangle will play out, which direction it will head to. Personally, right now, as always, I've already mentioned it on Monday, is that I still see a downward pressure heading downwards first. It will not be heading towards the very 6,200 level or $6,000 level. So guys, stop spreading FUD. I think it's a bit hard for you to get there, but because everyone is just hodling onto it. Okay, unless it's a huge news, a huge sell down. Some regulators came in, SEC make some announcement, ETFs gonna ban, BUC is rejected, and institutions finally give up on blockchain technology, which is kind of hard to happen. Things like that. Then maybe we'll see a huge sell down, all right? Or maybe China put an additional ban on everything, even block VPN. Then perhaps we will see the next recession. If not, I think it's kind of hard, right? Okay, so just to answer some questions quickly on YouTube Live. So I think Yong Huang asked a question: what if BTC was replaced eventually? Well, I think, to me personally, I think BTC is really very hard to replace. To me, BTC is king. It's really very hard to replace unless we are talking about institutions creating something. You see, the thing is, if I create a new stable token or a new stable coin, it kind of defeats the purpose of creating Bitcoin in the first place, right? Because Bitcoin's idea was to empower the people, is to empower the community, is to let all of us have a fair share of something that is not owned by a bank, not owned by any institution, not owned by any government, and allows us to free play it, allows us to send transaction from a developed nation to a non-developed nation in a few minutes to hours. So that is the fundamental reason why it was kind of created back then during the recession, right? That's what Satoshi wanted too. So creating those stable coins and things like that is just a way that regulators or banks, could make money in that sense during using this crypto phase. So of course, I still personally feel that Bitcoin will be here to stay. Question that I always have is, number one, will it become a store of value? Or number two, will it be just a speculative kind of token or currency, or like a commodity, right? So it all depends on how the nation of different countries all around, different countries in different nations define what is Bitcoin. Some define it as a real estate, right? Some define it as a commodity, some define it as a currency, but not exactly a currency because utility is not exactly there yet. So it's so hard to define it. Until the point in time, maybe 2 to 5 years later, I think when Bitcoin is populated all around the world, the network weight increases, more people are transacting in it, then at a point in time, the better definition of Bitcoin will be there. and we have to kind of go through one more recession in a sense, perhaps in the next 1 to 2 years, to kind of know whether Bitcoin is really the true digital gold, or it's just a speculative thing that people or investors will dump when the recession kick in. So I think that's the real challenge. That's my real question. All right. So guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next Monday at CG Market Watch Live. So all of us next week, Crypto Grinders will be in Bali, and once again we'll be doing it live over there in Bali. All right. So we'll update the time slot. Most likely it'll be around the same time again. The whole team will be there. We'll be doing it live once again at Blockchain X event, X Blockchain event, and it'll be very, very exciting. All right. So guys, I'll see you there, and take care.